Let's try to gather back. I want to apologize for the technical difficulty. We were unable to access YouTube for a minute. And then the question came up, do we have to provide YouTube? And the answer is no, we don't. We do that because we want the public to know what we're doing.
Yeah, we didn't have one when you and I first started.
Okay, back on our agenda. I referenced earlier to our Alsatian settling families. And I'm privileged to be able to invite to the podium Ms. Oates, Barbara Oates. Let me call her the item. It's 1.5, which is an update regarding the Kerr County Historical Commission's upcoming events, including but not limited to the Letters Home exhibit and the Living History Camp for Kids. Ms. Oates, give us your maiden name.
Barbara Oates, Chair, Kerr County Historical Commission. And yes, my family did come from that area, so I'm very proud of my ancestors.
And we're proud of you.
Yeah. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk to you about the most recent project of the Kerr County Historical Commission, where we have partnered with the Heart of the Hills Heritage Center. On May 15th at the Kerr Arts and Cultural Center, a new exhibit sponsored by the Kerr County Historical Commission and the Heritage Center will open. The exhibit, titled Wartime Letters Home, Sharing Stories of Service, will honor 28 service members, all with connections to Kerr County, who served from World War I through present-day conflicts. We're highlighting their service through these letters that were exchanged. Some names you're going to recognize, and you know their stories: Earl Garrett, Sidney Baker. But others are newly told stories, such as Commissioner Holt, Bill Bullard, many other stories that just came to us by happen chance. So we're so thrilled. Some are living and some have already passed. The memories of the service members live on with their families through these letters. And the letters show the impact of war in a very personal way. Some of what you'll see in this exhibit is the similarities in these letters. The service members write about missing home and missing their loved ones. They write about the countries in which they were called to serve and the friends who are by their side serving. The letters show their angst, they show their pride, and all that they're called to do. The Kerr County Historical Commission and the Heritage Center are deeply grateful to the families and the service members who shared letters, photographs, their personal memories, and artifacts for display. It really has been an honor to be able to tell these stories of these brave Americans. The exhibit committee would like to thank Joe Herring for sharing photos from his personal collection, the KACC for providing us a workspace because we're not quite fully moved into our new digs in the annex space y'all gave us, and certainly to KACC for the final venue of the exhibit. We thank River's Edge Gallery, who provided expert framing and copying, and the National WASP World War II Museum. I personally want to thank Angela Kennedy, Executive Director of the Heart of the Hills Heritage Center, who is here today. She provided valuable skills with our organization, and she really brought focus to the exhibit. The Kerr County Historical Commission really looks forward to our future partnerships with the Heritage Center. Bunny Bond, who's not here today, but I'm sure she's listening, brought her skills of research so that the stories being told would be factual, that they would be complete and appropriately honor the service members. Linda Stone provided the artistic vision. Her attention to detail was unbelievable. Linda's here today as well. And her perseverance literally brought the exhibit to life for us. Linda Bullard, who's also here, is not a member of KCHC or the Heritage Center, but she came on board early as we learned of her father's story, which is just incredible. And she continued helping us. with the editing of narratives and also the development of the story of Rosalie Fullward Meek Dickerson. And that's another fascinating story. You're going to find that a few of those that we have honored do not have letters, but their connections to Kerrville and their stories were so compelling when they came to us, we wanted to include them. Rosalie is one of these individuals. I am leaving y'all with the latest press release, and in it, it will have the opening and closing and times and details. But we would personally, the Heritage Center and the Historical Commission, like to extend an invitation to all of you to attend the reception. It's May 24th from 2 to 4 p.m. at KACC. There'll be light refreshments, and there are other openings at the KACC. We have the small little area, Derby Hall. I'm sure we're going to overwhelm it. Today, we're just so excited because we're going to leave here and go actually begin to put everything up to the exhibit. But we would love to see y'all before then because it officially opens May 15th, and it goes all the way till June 21st. So we're capturing that time over the Memorial Day, and we're just so proud to highlight so many of these folks who came from our area. And I can say this, we fell in love with every single service member's story, and we're just so proud of our county. So thanks for I'll just say this, we're just grateful to this county for the budget you provide for us that gives us some money to be able to produce something like this, and ultimately so that we can continue to promote, preserve, and to protect our history in this county. So thanks a bunch.
Barbara, what was the time again on the 24th?
2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Okay.
2 to
Sorry.
4.
And with those of you associated with this project, please stand. Please
Yep.
stand.
Yay.
Thank you. We appreciate what you're doing. Okay. Next item on the agenda is 1.6, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the bid package for replacement of the highway monument sign and display at the Hill Country Youth Event Center. Mr. Williamson.
Good morning, Court. Thank you for your time this morning. I'm here to discuss and hopefully gain approval to go out to bid for the replacement of the highway marquee. The reason we're asking for a bid package is a complete replacement of the sign and monument structure. Therefore, it's hard to piecemeal it out, if you will. I think there's things that'll come up in construction that I don't know about, like rerunning electrical wire, things like that to come up to new code. The second reason I would prefer this to go out to bid is it's also tied into the city. So we do have a sign variance request in place here, and our hearing with the Planning and Zoning Committee is June 2nd to gain approval for that variance. So if we could go out to bid, we could match those line items up to get this project off and running. It is a budgeted project in this fiscal year for Kerr County.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the replacement of the highway monument sign and display at the Hill Country Youth Event Center as presented. Any discussion?
Now, Jake, this is something you said you'd already bid once before, and you're just having to go back and.
We never accepted bid. We got quotes before to get an idea of the budget for this. With that, we do have a healthy budget for this project that, with the estimates from a couple of years ago, should get something that everybody could be very proud of out there.
Okay.
And tell us a little bit about the sign. Is this the electronic sign for marketing and advertising?
Correct. This is the highway electronic sign. Those that drive by now will notice that the current sign's derelict. It's non-functioning, and this will be something that will not only update the event center look, it'll also help us advertise, gain sponsorships, and promote current events that are going on. We discussed, fence signage before. This is something that could look at replacing fence signage, things like that.
Thank you.
Where people driving by in a much bigger format, a much more up-to-date format, can see what's going on.
So we might eliminate a lot of that fence signage.
That's correct. We couldn't include that in this project if we want to go that
Much
route.
more professional appearance.
Well, we could also change the policy some too.
Exactly.
This
reflect
comes out
that.
of your budget?
This is a Kerr County line item under capital improvements for the event center. It was funded by the company I work for.
Yeah.
A reinvestment pertaining to our contract.
It's
So it's good to note that this is not taxpayer dollars
right.
to build this sign.
We've set that aside for some time now.
Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, 4-1. Thank you.
Thank-
I've got two timed items. I'm going to try to get them back to back. One of them is going to be late, and the other one I think is going to be on time. The 9:30 item is 1.7. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to accept and approve the second quarter report of the portfolio of investments for Kerr County. Ms. Holden.
Good morning. The investment portfolio that you have in front of you has a value of $56,752,484.52, which includes all the funds that my office invests, including the Shriner Road Trust funds. It's diversified according to our investment policy with investments in bank CDs, brokered CDs, CDAR CDs, investment pools, interest-bearing checking accounts, money market savings accounts, and treasury notes. I just wanted to go over the investment activity that happened last quarter. That included 3 bank CDs that matured and renewed at interest rates between 3.85% and 4.33%, ranging from 3 months to a year. 3 brokered CDs matured and renewed at 4.1% for 1 year. 2 other brokered CDs, along with some treasury notes that matured, have been used to purchase 4 new CDs at interest rates between 3.95 and 4.0, locked in for 2 years. 10 CDAR CDs matured during the quarter and were renewed at various interest rates between 3.5% and 4.22% for 6 months to a year. And finally, 1 brokered CD in the Shriner Road Trust portfolio matured in January, and treasury notes were purchased, locking in 4% interest rate for 2 years. And just for reference, the 2-year treasury was at 3.7 at the beginning of May. Your total interest earnings for the second quarter were just under $665,994, bringing our year-to-date interest earnings to just over $1,158,545. I
Good
just
work.
wanted to let you know, I've never brought this to you this way before, and I just thought I would do that for you this time.
Well, I think it's important for the public to know
Good deal.
what you're managing
Yes, sir.
and how well you're managing it.
Thank you.
Very diverse portfolio,
Yes.
very diverse.
Thank you.
And being part of the investment committee, I just want to applaud and congratulate Tracy. She's just done a fantastic job of managing the county's money, so thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Make a motion to accept and approve the
Second.
second quarter report.
Does it need?
We've got a motion and a second to approve the report as presented.
Yes.
Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, thank you. Now, we're right on time for the second timed item. This is 9:45, which is item 1.15. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve Kerr County becoming a member of the Kerrville Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Wendelin.
Thank you, Judge Kelly. My name is Mindy Wendeley, and I'm the President and CEO of the Kerrville Area Chamber of Commerce. I have handed you some additional information. Jody was so kind to put the original part of the delivery today in your packet, but here is some more information for you. We are reaching out, we meaning the staff and 17-member board of directors for the Kerrville Area Chamber. We're reaching out to all of our very significant and important partners and community partners here in the Kerrville area. So it not only includes Kerrville, Ingram, Hunt, it includes, we have members in Centerpoint, Comfort, Bernie, Fredericksburg. So we're reaching out to all of our very important partners to encourage them to become a member of the Kerrville Area Chamber of Commerce. And why would we want to do that? Because we as a society and a business association can strengthen our business community, which only strengthens our entire community portfolio. We have been very active with our Governmental Affairs Committee. That is a 40-member committee that works diligently throughout the year, not just when state legislature is in session, but covering and analyzing and making decisions and bringing them forward to our board of directors for significant actions that affect school board elections, affect city council elections. We have not done, in my time with the chamber, we have not done county elections, but we would absolutely welcome that. We have a very strong and robust social media presence and traditional media presence. We partner with all of our area media folks. If you look at what I just handed out to you, you can see the different levels of membership. And of course, we'd love for you to be a diamond member because that is the most beneficial to the county and thus your county residents. But you can get into membership as least expensive as $300. But you get so much more for $1,800. That is an annual commitment. You can see on your very colorful page, third and last page, all the benefits that you get for those investments, and it is investment. We have many service lines, including very popular and very sought after Leadership Kerr County. We are just getting ready to graduate our 39th class on Friday. So we'll start our 40th year in September for producing wonderful, well-rounded, well-educated leaderships for the Kerrville area. We have other service lines. You can read them. I won't go through that. We also have a very robust calendar of not only fun and active events, but we have educational opportunities. We have a wonderful new program that we're just getting kicked off. We are now a 501c3 chamber foundation as a sister partner to our 501c6, which we are now in our 102-year history. That will only allow us to do so much more with being good stewards of folks' money for investing in young leadership, young entrepreneurs, and young, doesn't mean just young in age, but young at heart. Anyone that we can help strengthen our business community here in the Kerrville area. We have, as I said, 17 self-appointed board members that are volunteers that take their job very seriously to help guide our 4-member staff here at the chamber. We have over 800 members and growing every day. We would like for you to be one of those. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Well, let me start off by saying I was surprised when I got the call. I thought we were a member of the chamber.
Yeah.
And so I started asking around to the people that had been here longer than me, and we all thought we were a member of the chamber.
Yeah.
And it's important because there's a very pressing need for it right now. We are about to dedicate our Kerr County Annex over here, Allie Burton, okay? And our Veteran Services Officer, Jenna Sanchez, went and asked the chamber to do a ribbon cutting to do this. Well, the policy is you can only do it if you're a member of the chamber. And we need to have a red carpet ribbon cutting for that building to honor Allie Burton. So I'll make a motion that we join the Chamber of Commerce, and we can debate at a later date. We're going to join. That's what I want us to join.
Okay.
We can debate about which level we want to buy in at.
I'll second. For
Um,
discussion.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you, I'm a member of the chamber, but I don't see it at a county level for some reason. I think because it's tax dollars maybe is the reason I feel differently about it. So I'm not sure that I'm really in favor of it. I do understand your point for the ribbon cutting and doing that, but I've tried to weigh this out. I've thought about it, can't see what the catch is for tax dollars to be put into that type of an organization. But that's just my opinion.
Let me ask you this, is our Youth Event Center a part of this, or they would be if the county was? How does that work?
Absolutely, and thank you for that question, Commissioner. With your levels of investment in the chamber, the higher the level, the more exposure you get. For example, if you look on the colorful page, we will list,
But right now, they're not. I
they're
mean,
not, no, that's
not part of
correct.
it at all.
That is correct. And we take very seriously when we have governmental interaction, because we are a business association by definition. But when we look at, our Governmental Affairs Committee looks at various decisions that are possibly being made, not possibly, being made at the state and federal level. We research those, and we stand up to help those types of initiatives. Our board voted unanimous to support a resolution supporting the HOT issue. It's at legislative level right now. So it's not just being a member to be a member. It is a wonderful support of the business community and information and education promises.
Well, to me, that's the main benefit I see is the chamber supporting the events that we hold, for example, at the event center. I mean, the more tourists, the more people we draw in, it's good for so many things. And in fact, if this hotel occupancy tax passes, one of the things that we're allowed to do with those funds is to advertise or to promote tourism. So if we decided to go with, say, a diamond membership, 1,800, it would be covered if it passes.
Thank you for offering different levels for us to consider.
Of course.
I think that's important, trying to,
Yeah.
Of
as
course.
we consider the involvement with that. I'm surprised as well, we're not a member of that. Leadership Kerr County,
Yes.
can you tell us how many county employees get the benefit of that? Do you have that number?
I do not have that number in front of me now, but I will tell you, Commissioner, that the county, the city, the school districts try to promote and apply at least one of their employees throughout every application cycle. I don't have the exact number, but there's, Tracy?
We've had 9 county
Oh, thank you.
employees in the last 9 years attend that leadership.
That's good.
I'll be coming to you in a couple of weeks for a couple of sessions to request another nominee.
Yeah, it's an impressive curriculum that you had, and I was kind of wondering about that. Thank you for
Sure.
talking about it. And
It's
we're
a
taking
bit,
advantage of it, but we're not paying for it.
Mindy, you've done an excellent job of selling it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take the same approach as Commissioner Jones in that, I'm a member of the West Kerr Chamber and fairly active, and I wouldn't think of asking the county to join that. I think you're getting a lot of airtime and probably sold to some people sitting right here that might consider that aren't members right now. But as far as taking taxpayer money, I don't see a majority of my constituents going along with it. And this is a small amount in the big scheme of things that we do, but I still can. Maybe individually or something, but not from the county aspect. So that's my take.
Yeah, I'm a member. I've been a member for 20, 30
Sure.
years.
Yeah, there's nothing against the
Yeah.
chamber.
This vote doesn't commit us to a certain level of commitment, just committee?
That's my motion.
Okay.
Right.
If we're gonna do it, to me, we ought to be all in and do the diamond package and include that now rather than revisiting it later, but that's just me.
I'd like to discuss that maybe, and
Well, we can
Private.
discuss it later. Just means we have.
Well, a
to
motion's been
discuss it.
made in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed? 3-2.
There you go.
And
We're gonna do it, we just don't know how much.
thank you for the community building that you do.
Absolutely, and my
Yeah.
business card is attached. Please reach out individually. I'd be more than happy to visit with you at another time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, back to where we were on the agenda. We took the timed items.
Right.
We've already had a break, so I'm not gonna break right now. Let's move on to item 1.8, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the revised county payroll schedule for FY 24-25, and rescind approval of the payroll schedule revision in November of '24. Court order number 40993. Ms. Sullivan.
Yes, so last November, I had come to you to revise the pay date schedule because we were going to do the Encode 10 conversion, and the time that they were gonna cut us off was right before a payday, and so we needed a little extra time to be able to process that, to get everybody paid before shutting down the system. If you don't already know, you will, well, you're not gonna know now, but an email will go out today saying that we are delaying that conversion, so there's no need for that pay date schedule to be moved up, as I had requested before, so I'm just asking to go back to the original, normal payday cutoff on a Monday instead of Friday.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the revised county payroll schedule for 24-25 as presented, and rescind order number 40993. I'm sorry about the delay, but I understand. So let's take a vote. Those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Item 1.9, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to authorize the county judge to execute a builder's risk insurance policy with the Chubb Group of Insurance Companies in the amount not to exceed $8,151 for the construction of the animal control facility located at 199 Spur 100. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. Attached builder's risk policy with Chubb Group of Insurance Companies in the amount of $8,062 does not include terrorism coverage, which would be an additional $89, bringing the total to $81.51, should the court elect said additional coverage. The annual policy would start June 1st, 2025, and it is prorated to where a refund would be issued for unused coverage during that 12-month period. The animal control facility is contractually to be completed by November 3rd, 2025, or at least substantially complete at that time. The county engineer requests the court authorize the county judge to execute a builder's risk insurance policy for the construction of the animal control facility located at 199 Spur 100, Kerrville, Texas, with Chubb Group of Insurance Companies in the amount of $8,062 if terrorism coverage is declined, or $8,151 if terrorism coverage is accepted. Precinct 2, need you guys to decide which one you want.
Okay. Any motions?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the builder's risk insurance policy with the Chubb Group as presented. Any discussion?
Which one did you want to pick, with terrorism coverage or without?
With.
With.
Okay, it'll be for $8,151.
Right. My second's good for that.
Charlie, was this part of the original project budget?
Yes, sir. It got taken out of, value engineered out of the contract with J.K. Bernhardt to avoid paying additional fees that they would charge, yeah, overhead and whatnot.
Right.
So
Okay. That
he
answers
saved
my
about
concern.
20% by doing this.
Yeah.
And we saved probably a little bit more because we kind of delayed this decision,
That's right.
you know, for a while. So
That's right. The
we
site
took
work is
risk
done.
For the overall, construction
Not
so
much,
far,
because not
before we
much
go
has been
vertical.
constructed, yeah.
We're only paying for vertical construction. So if it had not been done properly, and they had not got the base course in with all the rain, we had not got the chip seal in, we could have really damaged a construction site that we would have been responsible for rebuilding. So we took a little bit of risk in waiting to get
That's
this
right.
done now. It's a few $1,000s cheaper. And this is one of the fun things you learn, because honestly, between Reagan, Charlie, and myself, we're like, what is builder's risk and why isn't this already a part of the contract? So we had to go back and find this out, and through negotiation, got down to a decent price. It's been one of the fun things I've learned with this animal control project, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Charlie, I just would like to make a request that one of the meetings in June, I'm gonna miss the one on the 26th, I'll be out of town, but I would really appreciate an update on the overall project schedule and cost.
Very well.
Animal control shelter. It's been a long time since we saw it. I think probably all the contracts have been let for the most part, so I think It would be great to have an update.
No
Pay
problem.
those bills.
What'd you do, Charles?
Now we're back up.
This
Everything
is a
came back up.
test. It's only a test.
We have a motion and a second to approve the builder's risk insurance policy as presented. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.10, update on construction material testing and related quality control services contract with UES Professional Solutions 44 LLC for the Animal Control Facility Project. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. We continue to work with UES in negotiating a potential change order to cover testing that's being done out there. We're not ready to bring something to the court to sign just yet.
So no action?
So, no action on this.
This is just an update.
Yeah, and I don't know if Commissioner Holt might want to chime in on that. He's been involved in this, and
I can tell you, it's part of my main effort, this building and this construction, so thank y'all for that. It's challenging with change orders. I don't like them. I've dealt with construction and new construction for quite some time in my professional life. And I'm very grateful to have Charlie hold the bottom line and be involved in these facilities. With UES, I can tell you, I've gone to the corporate office, I've gone to the local office to get a meeting with UES and me and you, and I'll continue to try to arrange that meeting based upon the schedules that we've talked about. Because I'm not gonna be satisfied until we sit down with them and ask them why. Because I'm not satisfied with the change orders and the money that we've let into it. Understanding there is certain testing to be required. Concrete, you've got to test. You've got to test some of the wells as well. So those are the two outstanding items for testing our building to make sure it's up to code. And to let you know for this, for UES, which was our contractor that we accepted, the construction company has to stay out of it. It has to be a third-party thing that we do with another company. But the construction company has to say, I need testing for this, this, and this. So we're very involved in it, and we're trying to keep controls from this getting out of scope from what we've already budgeted. I'll let you know, this has a lot of our time and a lot of our attention, and we're not gonna stay with it, or we're not gonna forget about what they're asking until we're satisfied we've got the best money on behalf of the taxpayers. And right now, frankly, I'm not there. Neither is Charlie. So, there you
But
go.
back to y'all's original, what Commissioner Pace has said, shouldn't all this testing have been included?
yes.
In the original scope.
In the
It was,
original
it was
scope.
value engineered out.
Right, so why are they asking for more on this? What's changed?
I think they missed the scope. I think that's what happened.
That's why we're gonna sit down and talk. We
Yeah.
paid a lot of money out for stuff that we're gonna look to make sure it should have been included on our responsibility, correct?
Yes,
And the previous, testing was underground, help me out?
Yes, sir. Anytime you dig a trench to install a utility, everything's got to be compacted, put back at a proper compaction, so you don't have settling of ditches, especially if it's underneath a pavement or a parking lot. All of the base for the pavement and the parking lot has got to be tested and so forth. So it's all been density testing for the most part. There's been some concrete tests for some of the head walls that are for one of the culverts. That's the concrete testing thus far. There will be concrete testing for the foundation, that's forthcoming, and there will be weld inspections done by this third-party vendor when the building goes vertical.
Them missing the scope is not our issue. That's their issue.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we're gonna have that conversation. We're
We've,
not happy.
we've been looking at it with a
Scope is
fine-tooth
clear,
comb.
you're right.
We're gonna make sure that that whatever is the right thing to do is what gets presented to the court.
Okay. Let's move on. The next agenda item is 1.11. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to authorize advertising for bid for the Alley Burton Annex Building renovation project. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. Mustard Architects and Keener Engineering Services have completed the plans and specifications for architectural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and security upgrades for the Alley Burton Annex Building renovation project, which is located at 550 Earl Garrett Street, Kerrville, Texas. The advertisement for bid is attached in your agenda packet, and it consists of the general schedule that I'm going to outline for everyone's benefit. We'd like to advertise in May. We'd like to bid it in June. We'd like to award that bid in July and start construction in August. So that's just a real general May, June, July, August, the next 4 months, get to construction. County engineer requests that the court authorize advertising for bid for the Alley Burton Annex Building renovation project, Precinct 2.
I'll make a motion that the court authorize advertising for bid for the Alley Burton Annex Building renovation project.
I second.
Motion and a second to approve advertising for bid for the Alley Burton Annex Building renovation project. Any discussion?
Yeah, has adult probation been included in all of this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And they're all their satisfaction for safety and all of that's been met?
Yes.
Because I know there was
Yes.
some question about that for a while.
And also with Eric Piper with the Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
He's in charge of the safety. He's been instrumental in providing a scope for the architects to include. Yes, sir.
And, you know, when we got that building, there was extensive work done on it over there.
Well, there was a roof.
Well, yeah, and, you know, the end of the building and all that kind of stuff. Just briefly, what upgrades are we gonna be making?
Aces, would you like to take that?
This is what I presented last
I know,
summer.
I just wanted,
It was a
again,
$300,000 estimate at that point in time to upgrade the building, and it was all about accommodating adult probation so that they have a separate entrance towards the rear of the parking lot. And we've got to knock a hole in the exterior, put in a separate door so they have a separate secure reception area. You know, they have to take special samples, so the toilets had to be redesigned and they'll have to be reconstructed.
well, I think this is
Because-
important for the people
Because of
here.
the size of the group. Of course, a lot of those offices that are existing are very large. And so we're gonna be putting walls to separate and make additional office space.
Okay.
And they're gonna still have room to grow if they do. You know, that building is a great asset, and we just wanna make it custom fit for adult probation, and we want it as secure as possible, so some of it is for some additional lighting. A big chunk, the biggest chunk of the estimated project budget is for security. And we have a specific quotation already, a very detailed quotation from Guardian, who provide all of the security systems throughout the county at all of our different facilities. And I think that will be separate from this scope that's gonna be advertised, because it was over 100,000, 115,000 or so. Anyway, we'll be bringing that to the court separately with a proposal to award directly. Since, again, it's Guardian and it's very specific and unique, and we want it to tie with all of our systems that are currently being monitored by the SO. So, I mean, that's a very brief description. You know, we're gonna have to change out flooring. It's got carpeting that's pretty nasty, particularly upstairs, and so we'll have some new laminate flooring throughout the building, and to where it will match. But, again, some of it is just, putting up walls and stuff to give more offices. IT has to spend a little money to upgrade, the system. And,
Well, that's
and a
important.
big part of the plumbing, for the 2 restrooms downstairs.
And they got
But
satisfied
adult
with,
probation has been involved all.
but they
all
got
along.
satisfied with
Yeah.
the distance from
Oh, yeah.
the daycares?
That was addressed. No objections have been heard from
In fact, I will
anyone in the
say-
public.
I would say that adult probation has been bent over backwards to be accommodating to help us with this project.
Yeah, they have. And, look, they don't want to move.
Right.
But this is they're cooperating.
That's
And-
what I'm
and this is
saying.
the
They're
best
team
solution.
players.
They're helping us out here.
They're
Yeah, they
team
are.
players.
This is the best solution to meet the sheriff's office needs
Okay.
and to address those problems at the most cost-effective.
Our attorney would like to say something.
I was just at a recent sheriff's office presentation, the Citizens probation officer made presentations about it, was asking questions from the group, and said that once this move happened, that they would not have room to grow. And I don't know if that's still accurate or if other changes have been made in the past 3 weeks, but that.
Sorry, who will not have room to grow?
Probation, if they move over here in the way that it was,
Laid out.
in the way that it was laid out, at
That's
least
not
as
correct.
far as our last Citizens Academy meeting.
They will have additional offices that won't be initially occupied, so there's.
Will they have the entire building?
No.
No.
No, Veteran Services remains as where they're
Environmental.
currently, and so does the OSSF group. And, they're more than happy. They were heavily involved in the initial design, and they'll be isolated from adult probation, but adult probation will have room to expand if they need to. That was the reason for putting up, creating more offices. So, I'm not sure where that came from, but they have been involved all the way along, and they approved the, design.
Well, we certainly have some storage opportunities, to have to store stuff at other locations, and I don't know if that was part of the decision calculus, but when he said that in that meeting as well, I was remembering your brief, and I'm like, I didn't want to challenge the guy in front of our little sheriff's academy, but,
Well, Andrea.
yeah,
Andrea.
so,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Can I ask one thing about that? The greatest challenge in the animal control building, first of all, moving is emotional, whether
Sure.
it's personally or professionally. We all recognize that. You see the emotion in this one. Second, it's expensive to move. One of the greatest items is always furniture, fixtures, and equipment. As we're realizing in the animal control building, it's not part of the original bond cost. And it's significant for animal control. I don't want to go into that, but for this building, are they looking at what can be moved to reduce costs?
They're gonna take
moving their
everything.
shop.
They're
The whole
taking
shop.
all their furniture.
Cubicles, desks, chairs, all
Yes.
that. That's awesome.
I mean,
Okay.
we're having to
I can remember that.
replicate some of the built-in cabinets, and that's part of this project.
All right.
So they'll get some built-in cabinets out of this, but otherwise, they're taking all their furniture.
That's a
Now,
big savings.
We have not put any funds available for the sheriff's office to furnish the space that they're going to occupy afterwards. So I imagine we'll see something from the sheriff in terms of next year's budget, because they're not gonna occupy it until next year's budget anyway.
There is a budget for the sheriff's office furniture, it's 20,000, 25,000.
Oh, was there? Okay. There you go.
How'd you miss that?
I guess I didn't care.
No, I mean, it's a good point. It's expensive to move, so thank you for budgeting.
Well, let me say something overall, and this is the helicopter view, going up about 15,000 feet. With the failure to pass the bond issue, we are running out of room. And while there may be some short-term room to grow over there, we've just about maxed out all the space we have, and we don't have enough space for storage still. We've got stuff crammed everywhere. At some point, we're going to have to revisit that issue about growth, but I don't think it's something that we need to do right now. 550 is as good as we got. Adult probation has been very accommodating. The sheriff's office has been very patient. We're trying to do what we can. But this just about taps us out.
And look, this was something that was not contemplated at all in those three bonds. This came up subsequent. And all I can tell you is that this is the most cost-effective solution to the sheriff's need for growth and space and to accommodate adult probation. So otherwise, we would have spent at least $2 million if we had to build a separate facility.
Any other discussion? This is an action item. We've got a motion
Yep.
and a second to approve advertising for bid for the Alley Burton Annex Building renovation project as presented. Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. Item 1.12, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve a proposal and invoice in the amount of $150,891.41 from the Roberts Truck Center for a 2026 International HV 607 14-yard dump truck. Ms. Hoffer.
Submitted for approval as a proposal and an invoice in the amount of $150,891.41 for a 2026 International HV 607 14-yard dump truck from Roberts Truck Center. This truck is currently available and ready for delivery if approved. This is a government purchase offered by Roberts Truck Center under Sourcewell contract number 032824-NVS, which provides a 31% discount as referenced on the proposal, which has been provided with the backup documentation. We currently have a surplus in our capital line item due to savings from the items we purchased from our approved capital list for fiscal year 24-25. This dump truck had been included in the fiscal year 26-27 portion of our original 5-year forecast. At this time, I ask the Commissioners Court for their approval to purchase the 2026 International HV 607 14-yard dump truck from Roberts Truck Center as presented. Thank you for your consideration.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Good news about this, Kelly, we've got the money in the budget.
Yeah, we had two things left to purchase, that were 2 oil tacker trailers, that were in this current fiscal year capital. And, before those came in, our surplus was $506,730. So the 2 tacker trailers, $54,160, and the next 2 items, if you approve both of those, we'll still have a balance of $107,870.59 from the original amount that was submitted.
Now, translated into how you say it on the street, this is a product of extremely good management on your department. And
Thank
it
you.
is not lost on me.
Thank you.
Kelly, did we just overestimate what it was gonna cost for all the equipment?
Not
that we have such a
necessarily,
large surplus?
you know, you get budget proposals from equipment companies. They don't always know, and in today's world, they don't know where the steel prices are gonna go. And since we have to have stuff turned in, you know, in May, and then we're not placing the orders until October, you just don't know where prices are gonna go. And some of them do 2 to 3 increases during the fiscal year. So if you budget it exactly in today's world, by the time we're able to purchase it, we probably won't have enough money to purchase everything.
But apparently, in this case, the increases were a lot less than maybe
Yeah.
anticipated.
Well, I think she negotiated a much better price than we thought we could get.
Yeah, well, and some of them, we weren't able to get what we originally set out to get, just the availability. So we had to choose another one, and sometimes on those, the discount is
And
different.
I recall that you had like a 5-year plan. So the fact that we're procuring a dump truck and the next item, if it's approved, you know, that will lower the future
Yes.
budget? Is that gonna lower next year's budget, or is that
I'm not
maybe
sure,
the budget the year after that?
I think
mean,
it's the
I
year
guess I'm
after
giving
that
you a
it-
chance to manage my expectations.
yeah, I
They
think it's
do.
the year after, and I think it almost cuts it in half of what we originally proposed.
Okay. Well, that'll be good news at least.
You know, one thing I'd like to say is that, you know, this equipment's expensive and what have you, and we did initiate a plan a while back. But something that people take for granted, I think, around here and don't realize, we're just one of a handful of counties in the whole state that have every county road seal coated.
And
People-
we're first.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's other counties across the county line, those people don't, they put up with dust every day from their county roads. They grew up that way, don't know any different. We're spoiled here, but they do an excellent job, so.
Well, to add on to that, we have 607 roads and about 465 miles. And when I'm fully staffed, it's 28 people.
Yeah.
So, and Kerr County's 1,100 square miles, so lots of area to cover.
We do appreciate you, Kelly.
Thank
And
you.
your whole team. Good job.
Thank you.
I've seen people, commissioners in other counties at the conferences we go to, they might be buying that piece of equipment just for their precinct.
Right.
And we're in the unit system where we share all the equipment, so that's a plus.
Well, we're very proud of Road and Bridge Department.
You bet.
Thank you.
Okay, call the question. Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Let's go on to the next one, Kelly, which is item 1.13. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve a sales agreement in the amount of $193,808 from Holt Cat for a 2025 Caterpillar 920 QC 14A wheel loader.
Submitted for approval is a sales agreement in the amount of $193,808 for a 2025 Caterpillar 920 QC 14A wheel loader from Holt Caterpillar. This is a government purchase offered by Holt under Sourcewell contract number 011723-CAT, which provides a 24% discount as referenced on page 2 of the quote, which has been provided with the backup documentation. We currently have a surplus in our capital line item due to savings from the items we purchased from our approved capital list for fiscal year 24-25. This wheel loader had been included in the fiscal year 26-27 portion of our original 5-year forecast. This time I ask the Commissioners Court for their approval to purchase the 2025 Caterpillar 920 QC 14A wheel loader from Holt Caterpillar as presented.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have one question though, Kelly, before you leave. So, okay, if my math is right, we're basically gonna spend about 350,000. I think I heard you say that we have over 500,000 left. So are we gonna see anything else for that remaining 150 to
We probably
200,000?
will, we just haven't decided yet,
Okay.
so. But that 506,730, the two Tacker trailers, that's part of what was approved this year. So you take the 54,160 off of that, and the other two items that were just approved, that leaves $107,870.59 surplus from the original budget amount for fiscal year 24-25.
Anything that's on the list that fits that?
I'm sure there is something.
I'm sure we'll
You're
see
not through
that.
Christmas shopping yet, are you?
Trying to squeeze it out of her.
Okay, I'm gonna call one more item before we take our morning break. That's item 1.14. Consider, discuss, update on matters related to the HCESRPC, Hill Country Energy Subregional Planning Commission. Mr. Paces.
Okay, just to inform the court and the public, our commission met on May 6th in Kendall County at their courthouse. And the entire meeting was recorded via Microsoft Teams. It's available on our website. The meeting minutes from our April 28th meeting and the coordination discussions with TCEQ were approved, and they're also available on our website. Just so everybody's aware, Commissioner McCall from Kendall County and I both traveled to Austin on April 29th. We testified before the House State Affairs Committee on Representative West Verdell's proposed House Bill 1378. It was quite an experience, because sadly, they limited our comments to only 2 minutes. So,
That's tough on you, wasn't it?
yeah, well, yeah. I didn't even get halfway through my prepared comments. So, but I did give them a hard copy. Yeah.
Are
Can
you,
imagine?
Judge, are you taking notes? When did it 2 minutes?
No, I quit that.
I just don't know how to be that brief and actually get to the meat of what you need to say. But anyway, and obviously they make no exception for local government representatives, or I was also there representing CARFA and representing volunteer firefighters that can't respond to these things. So anyway.
Let's get back on track.
Yeah.
All right. And then Commissioner Chad Carpenter and myself had a conference call with Representative Chip Roy and his team on May 1st to discuss the best problem and in particular his efforts to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act and other sources of green energy subsidies, because these are the things that are distorting the market and leaving us with all this stuff. And the good news is Representative Roy is on side. He is definitely supporting us. So we just need to get more of the representatives in Congress on board. I also talked with one of the senior members of the Texas Water Development Board to see if they might be able to weigh in on the issue. You know, it's interesting that they invested over $50 million in our East Kerr wastewater project that was aimed at eliminating sewage contaminants making their way into the Guadalupe River. And of course, if we have a best facility and it ever catches on fire, it's going to be a complete disaster in terms of contaminants making its way into not only the river but also into our groundwater, soil. Anyway, they said they would get back to me. There's a list of key legislative bills pending in the House and Senate that need the support of concerned citizens. That's all available on our website. And the sad truth is we're finding out that between LCRA, Public Utilities Commission, ERCOT, and they're all saying that they don't play a role in the approval of individual power generators to the grid, and they're obligated to connect them. And of course, that's why best developers are targeting small counties where there are no regulations in the unincorporated areas. And the real question that we're getting to now is, well, then who the hell does? And you know, it's just not clear. Everybody's passing the buck. In fact, we just received an email from Public Utilities Commission, which basically states that participation in 391 commissions is dependent on the state agency's participation in an existing state program. They went on to say that they're not aware of any state programs related to BESS that involve PUCT administration. And yet ERCOT has over 900 of these things on their website, and ERCOT is a subordinate to PUC. So we're getting a real runaround, and we're going to see what can be done to turn that around. So our next meeting is on May 20th in the Kerr County Courthouse at 2 p.m. And we'll try to get PUC to attend, but I'm not overly optimistic. That's all I've got.
So, basically, you're getting the runaround, pretty much what's going on.
Yeah.
We can report that in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break and come back. We're going to finish up the docket. I'm teasing, yeah. Court will come back to order. Let everybody get seated. Picking up on the agenda, we're at item 1.16, quarterly update regarding the current and future grant opportunities for KCSO, Kerr County Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant Gage.
Morning. Much like, everybody, Jody said, hey, we need to do a grant update, so here we are on our quarterly update. I'm just going to start with our grant number one. Currently is our Justice Assistance Grant, Ticket Writer Project. We're in the process of that. We should probably be closing here in the next couple of weeks with them, the vendors finalizing a couple of numbers, but the award on that was $75,000. Our rifle-resistant body armor grant, we should be finalizing that here in the next couple of weeks as well. And the award on that was $20,400. Kind of a hang-up with that was our rep that we had with the vendor, no longer there, so we had to get another rep. So they came in, so that we had a little hang-up with it on that, but should be finalized before the end of the project period. Currently, our Operation Lone Star 2425, which the current award of that is $704,345. We're currently working through that as well. We've received $612,397 in reimbursement, and some unexpended funds is $91,000. And there's some salary as well as some equipment that we'll purchase in that as well. Fourth grant that's active is our Operation Stone Garden, Val Verde County, the campaign. The project period started here in March. The award was $154,000. $104,000 of that, I know a couple of the commissioners had came to the digital lab presentations that we had. So $104,000 is actually for some of that very expensive computer software we got awarded from the government for that. So that'll take us into the future for another year for that. So when we start talking about that regional lab, that funding of outsourcing through those other stuff, but we'll be good for another year on that funding. So, which is pretty fortunate. And then the remaining on that, the $50,000 on that award is for overtime for deputies. So they're actively working Stone Garden as well. So new grants that were pending some awards is Operation Lone Star fiscal year 26. So we've submitted. We're just waiting to see back from the governor's office of whatever our award is on that. We did another one for the rifle-resistant body armor. That first one fell short on kind of the money that we were looking at, so we resubmitted to get everybody outfitted at the sheriff's office. Our fiscal year 26 criminal justice grant grant for mobile data computers. So through ACOG, we went forward. We fell within the scoring range to get funded for it, and Noel has said probably we're right in that little phase where that funding will get sent to the review, will get sent to the governor's office, and then they'll fund that project. So we'll probably see maybe August timeframe, or maybe sooner, of whether we get the awards on that. So that was submitted at $72,250. So we're favorable on getting that as well. Inactive grants previously, I know you all have a copy of it. The total grants on some previous stuff was a little bit over $1 million. And then our grant breakdown awards, if you see on the copy. But since 2021, through all of our grants, and what's covered here is all of our state and our federal ones that the Sheriff's Office currently monitors since 2021, we've been awarded $2,135,093.94 since 2021. So, like I said, we have some pending that are out there, so that number is going to definitely increase. So, any questions?
Fantastic news.
Good job.
So, thank you.
Well, I want to extend special thanks to Noel Putnam for doing the paperwork and working with Scott on all this stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, we work hand in hand on all that stuff. Jody's a real big deal because when we do these grant adjustments, I have to send them to Jody and have to go to the judge. So it can kind of be a little tedious process of doing it. So, but that and auditor's office as well. So Andrew's been a big help for us submitting all that type of stuff. So we really appreciate it.
Good job.
I was in the ACOG came to town last week, and I was in a meeting with them, and they started asking about, the city was there and a number of other local governments, and they wanted to know who had a grant administrator, and nobody did except us. And this is really working out well.
Yeah, we have to go down there. I mean, it's kind of a big process when we go to ACOG to do that presentation down there. I know Noel had to help out because Paul Gonzalez is actually on the scoring committee, so Noel had to go down and present, and I had to present for the sheriff's office. And, you know, if you ever get an opportunity to see that process, it can be kind of a little overwhelming, because you know, you go in there, there's about 30 scores that sit on there, and they have a board, and you get, just like Commissioner Pace has said, you know, you got 2 minutes. You get 3 minutes to try to throw your spiel and say, hey, you know, this isn't a want, this is kind of a need for this project, and hopefully you can, you know, outbeat everybody else. But there's probably 30 or 40 agencies that are applying for that ACOG grant, and it's capped at $75,000. So we're pretty fortunate that we got in there. So,
And a lot of people don't understand what the Council of Governments, or the COG, is and what they do. The federal government gives block grants to the state, and then the state administers those block grants by assigning them to the COGs. And there's about, I think, almost, 30 or so around the state, something like that. And then the COGs go down to the county governments, municipal governments, and work with them, and we'll go through these screening processes. And the one you're talking about, I think, is what, CJAC?
yes, CJAC, yes.
Which is Criminal Justice Committee, and there are literally 30 or 40 people that are grading your presentation after they've read your grant. And that's how the federal money finds its way down to the local level. So working with ACOG is something that is extremely important for us.
And there may be some news that they might increase that to maybe 100,000 next year. I know they were talking about that, because right now, the way everything is, you know, 75,000 really doesn't really get you a whole lot in, you know, in some of the city or the counties and stuff, you know, for equipment purchases. But we're pretty fortunate. And you know, Rosa Lavender, she's always been a really big help with that. So she's a
resource.
Yeah, she definitely is. So she's been with the ACOG committee for a long time. So we really appreciate her as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Next item is 1.17, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to determine whether to allow retail firework permit holders to sell fireworks to the public in celebration of Memorial Day beginning May 21, 2025, and ending at midnight on May 26, 2025, pursuant to the Texas Occupation Code. Commissioner Harris.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve selling fireworks over the Memorial Day holiday. For those of you that don't know, if we do not take any action, then we're not permitted to sell fireworks over the Memorial Day weekend. We have to affirmatively approve the selling of the fireworks. So that's what we're doing here today. Sometimes you never even know, because when it's time to do this, Jody canvasses the court. We can't talk to each other, so she talks to all of us, whether or not we think we should sell fireworks or not. And if we all agree that we don't think we ought to sell fireworks, as we have throughout most of the drought, okay, then you never even hear it. The reason it's on the agenda today is because we've had some rain, and we have to debate, is it going to be too dry in a couple of weeks or not?
There's a good chance it will.
And I'll tell you, I always check with Thomas Jeffers in his church in Ingram, and they have the big fireworks stand on 27 towards Ingram. And he told me, yeah, they'd like to. And rather than start on the 21st, they would start on the 23rd and just go through that Monday. So a few days shorter than what they're allowed, but they use that money for good purposes. They use it on kind of a scholarship for kids to go to a Christian camp over the summer and stuff. And boy, it'll tug on your heart if you ever talk to him and what he's seen, the benefits he's seen from this program. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
He's a pastor, isn't he?
Oh, yes, he is.
And this
Yes.
is 501c3, so
Yeah.
it's a real.
So if you need fireworks, go that way.
There are alternative ways to raise money. And I would say, you know, we have curtailed the use of rockets in the past and allowed other fireworks. And that would be my recommendation, just because, you know, we're in for a real heat wave, and it won't take long to turn all that green grass brown.
What's the phrase? Rockets and
Skyrockets with sticks or missiles with fins, so we do.
missiles, fins and sticks.
Well, my motion is to just allow them. I don't think we're to that stage to go
I'm
the
looking at
other
a
way.
simple order from TAC, that we could include language in that order. This order expires on the date the Texas Fire Service determines drought conditions exist in the county, or by midnight on the day allowed, for sale for this holiday. So you could include that in your orders, so that in the meantime, if the Texas Fire Service, determines that a drought exists, then that decision can be made. Does that help?
So,
I kinda like that idea.
so in other words, we pass
You can hold
it
that.
to, not to exclude anything unless conditions change.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, Reedy, who makes the determination?
Texas Fire Service, and
Yeah.
that's what Commissioner Harris is always checking
Right.
out before we come to.
Yeah, and we're in good shape.
Well, but if we keep that language in there, then that makes
I
a world
like
of difference
it,
to me.
yeah. We,
Because if the weather turns on us, which it can,
yep,
we need to protect the public.
okay.
Does that make you feel any better, Commissioner Basis?
Yes and no. Because you're gonna be selling all this stuff, and once it's in their possession, they're gonna use it.
Like I said, he's gonna be selling that Friday through Monday.
Well, this is the whole county.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, any other discussion?
Do we need to amend the motion the way it is?
No,
or-
he says that's, he meant that to be included in his.
Yeah,
Because that's what he does.
Right,
That's your standard thing.
yes, sir.
Okay, I'm good.
So, those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? 4-1. Let's move on to item 1.1, it's 1.18. Consider discussion take appropriate action to surplus IT items from the IT department.
Yes, you have a list before you, and it's items that IT has asked to be surplused.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the surplusing of the IT items as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, thank you. 1.19, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to authorize the county judge to execute a change order in the amount of $62,134.66 with J.K. Bernhardt Construction Company for items related to the construction of the animal control facility located at 199 Spur 100. Commissioner Hope.
Yes, Charlie, you wanna go first, and then I'm gonna back clean up on this?
Sure.
There's a significant amount of involvement in us with change orders, for this construction project. I'd like to kinda close out. Charlie's gonna give a little bit of, information up front on it.
What I want to focus on is the critical path. The slab's going to be poured soon, I believe.
19
May
May?
19th
Yeah, the
is going
week
to be.
of, sorry, the
is
week
gonna
of
be
19 May is the first of two.
the first of two, and then 2 weeks later will be the second one. And there's some items in this total amount of $60,000+, which my understanding from the auditor, we have $50,000 of wiggle room right now with the current budget. Of that 50,000, a little while ago, you all authorized builder's risk, and we'll just round that up and say it's about 8,500. So we've got, what, $41,500 to play with right now. You've got 60-something thousand dollars in front of you. Critical path items would be, if you're ever going to have a generator for this building, then you need to have some conduit for wires to be run, big wires, from the generator back into the building. And these are all things that were value engineered out. Remember, this project came in $1 million more than what you awarded it for. So you cut $1 million out, knowing gotta find a way to come back and do some of these things cheaper. And so if you're going to have a generator, you're gonna need an automatic transfer switch sometime in the future. But without the generator, you have to have a fused switch. I can't remember exactly what the term was.
But we decided not to go
Transfer
with,
to transfer switch.
yeah, thank you, transfer switch.
And so, a fused switch instead of a transfer switch, I think is what they called it. But anyway, and I know, you're grinning because I know we're not saying it right, but you know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's a transfer switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still transfer switch. Okay, it's just not
For
automatic.
those of you who don't know, he's a master electrician.
Has been.
Those items are gonna total $21,840.13. That's critical path items. I would hold off on everything else that is in that, change order request. Some of them are taking doors that are painted and putting them, back to, where they've got a coating on them where they're not gonna fall apart after just a few short years of being in the environment that they're gonna be in at the animal control facility. I'd hold off on that. Another is some lighting. We don't fully understand what the additional lighting needs to be in there for. It may simply be a code issue and we may have no choice, but we're questioning that. We want to know. Again, every penny that's coming through, we're scrutinizing it. I know what the marching orders are. The marching orders are, we don't have any money. There's no money. Go make it happen with no money. And so, that's what we're trying to do. But, again, the items that I would recommend that you only take action on now are the critical path electrical items, because that slab's gonna be poured and then it'll be too late. That's conduit that goes under the slab. Unless it's okay to take wiring and run it over the top of the building at a future date, which I don't recommend. I don't ever recommend putting a hole in your roof if you can avoid that.
Are we ever gonna know what the final cost is gonna be on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, because all we're hearing today are change orders.
That's what I
And,
asked
and you're
here.
saying we backed off $1 million from what the original deal was, and for me, I'm just gonna speak my mind, but for me, that was to get it to what was approved on the bond. And now we're having to turn around and put all this money back into it, which is, I feel, pretty deceitful. And so I think we should have looked at another pathway, but it was done prior to me being on this court, so I had no control or say over that. But my concern still today, though, is gonna remain, or what is gonna be the final dollar on this? Can we project that?
I think we will the next budget, because, next year's budget, because we're not including certain items. This is for
Well, I
this
mean, we
year's
took out
budget
kennels,
in
we
order
took
to
out all
move.
kinds of stuff that
Correct.
have to be done.
And there are things in next year's budget, during the budget meetings that we're gonna have, which do include and are required to do to open the building up. And that does include kennels, that does include a fence, that does include some FFE stuff, right? And that's why this is very frustrating for all of us.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah. And we have to remember that when we build a new building or renovate, everything should be a part of that budget. Right now, we're picking up stuff on the go that should be. Like, for instance, the doors is worth just discussing for a minute. When we look through this, we realize the internal door structure within the dog kennels was wood. I mean, why on earth would you do that when you're hosing down chemicals, water on the internal part of where you're taking care of the animals? That should have been a composite door. So to begin with, we looked at that, we're like, no way. That's an external door issue. And that's why, that's one of the few things that I've said we actually should spend the money, because those doors will be destroyed within about 2 years. Now, the rest of it, we go through line by line every 2 weeks on cost. And I can tell you, it's not fun, because I don't want to come to the court and say, I think we're going to be involving a little more cost. And please find us the money, ladies, right, where we can do that within the current budget. But right now, the only thing I think is worth it is running the conduit and paying for doors.
I have no doubt that everything you're presenting needs to be done. No
Yeah.
question in my mind about that. I just want to know, are we ever going to get all of it, instead of y'all having to come in and going through the same thing over and over?
Where's the end? Right. And those are the
Or at the end
questions I
until the
ask at
building's
these.
erected,
Yes, sir.
Correct.
and next year's budget.
You'll know by next year's budget.
And this is nothing against the animal control facility
No.
or anything. It's just the process. I mean, it's, and I know you're fighting it, and,
But all this should have been done before all of
I know,
this.
and I thought it was. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Well, you know what, here, honestly, like he said, if you would've left it at $1 million more than the original vote, we would be fighting over pennies. But right now, we cut that back and we're trying to find the savings. They
Well,
cut out
but that's
a lot of
because the
stuff we
voters
shouldn't
approved
have.
a certain amount for a bond.
5.75 million.
Yeah.
That was what was approved, and we're gonna exceed that, and I wanna know by how much. And I think the public needs to know by how much.
Exactly.
I agree. And so we're gonna be very transparent about every single dollar, every single dime that gets put into it, and this is a part of it. And we will do that during your summer budget.
And that's no reflection on y'all. Y'all are doing a great job.
We got the baton passed to us.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
frustrating.
you know.
This is out of my wheelhouse, guys. I don't build animal control facility buildings. I don't.
Frustrating.
Yeah. If
I'm
it
sorry
doesn't look
you
like a
catching the
road,
wrong end of it,
if I don't
Charlie.
get to drive on it, then I don't want a whole lot to do with
Right.
it.
Yeah, we're not
But,
blindly signing checks here on this.
Oh, no, I don't question that.
but I will scrutinize it for you. That's what my job is. I'm just gonna present the facts, give you the numbers, so you guys can make a decision. So,
Thank you.
we'll get to the bottom of it as soon as we can. But here's what I recommend you do. If it were me, I would authorize the judge to execute contract order in amount of $21,840.13 for these critical path items being electrical. It's an automatic transfer switch, and it is the conduit for the piping that gets your electrical back into the building.
All right, I'm gonna make that motion for the critical path items at $21,840.
And 18 cents.
13.
13.
13
cents.
cents. Y'all gonna
Second.
mess up a nickel there. I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second to approve these $21,840.13 for items related to the construction of the animal control facility as presented. Two. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Unanimous. Item 120. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action for the court to set a public hearing on June 9, 2025 at 10 a.m. to adopt a street naming policy. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. The Texas Transportation Code, Section 251.013, authorizes the Commissioners Court of the county to adopt uniform standards for naming public roads located wholly or partly in unincorporated areas of the county, and for assigning address numbers to property located in unincorporated areas of the county. The Texas Transportation Code, Section 544.006, prohibits a person from placing, maintaining, or displaying on or in view of a highway an unauthorized sign, signal, marking, or device that imitates or resembles an official traffic control device or attempts to direct the movement of traffic. In addition to adopting the attached road naming and addressing guidelines as prepared by Kerr 911 Emergency Network, it is recommended that the court adopt a policy for naming streets for subdivisions that are exempt from platting, where the developer chooses not to utilize the platting process and is building private roads located wholly or partly in an unincorporated area of the county. Said policy I have listed below. The developer shall apply for street naming and addressing through Kerr 911, utilizing forms and procedures supplied by Kerr 911. Kerr 911 shall provide to the Kerr County Road and Bridge and Engineering Departments a copy of the street naming application with a recommendation for approval or denial of the proposed street names. The developer shall submit a voluntary pre-development plan to the Office of the County Engineer in accordance with Section 6.02 of the Subdivision and Manufactured Home Rental Community Regulations. The Kerr County Engineering Department shall ensure that driveway permitting and the Kerr County Flood Damage Prevention Court order are being followed by the developer prior to providing an approval letter to the Kerr County Road and Bridge Department. The Kerr County Commissioners Court may consider approval of the Kerr 911 recommended proposed street names subject to receiving an approval letter from the Kerr County Engineering Department through the Road and Bridge Department. County Engineer recommends that the court set a public hearing for June 9th, 2025 at 10 a.m. to adopt a street naming policy.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the street naming policy public hearing for June 9. Discussion?
Yeah, what problems will this fix? Do we
The
have
main one right
existing-
now, we've got streets that have some names, and we have streets that don't have names, of property that's been subdivided. And the ones that didn't go through Commissioner's Court, there's street signs up for some subdivisions, and it never got approved. And so that's an issue with one of the transportation codes. You're not allowed to put a traffic sign up, even a street sign, without approval without it being approved first. And then the other issue that I was describing, we do have subdivisions that have taken advantage of the state law change that allows, if you're building a subdivision, and this is the way it's being interpreted, and the roads are all private, that you don't have to go through the platting process. The platting process ensures that it goes through Kerr 911, that all the road names are proper, everything's good, and so that's getting bypassed. Kerr 911 has actually issued a moratorium in the last couple of weeks. Until this gets resolved, until we have this policy, they're not going to issue any street names. So there is a gentleman that has called my office that he's ready to move a home into a lot that he bought over in the Mountain Home area, and he can't do it because he doesn't have a street address. They just won't deliver. And he gives them an address out by the highway, and they won't deliver. They won't. They refuse. And they said, when you get a proper street address, we'll deliver that home. And so I can't remember if it was a modular home or a mobile home. It was one or the other. I don't remember. But so this is a very real issue. And another issue that this addresses, the court through the years has approved of Kerr 911's methods and methodologies and their regulations, their rules, but the court has never adopted them. We've looked at all the different court orders, and we've never seen where the court's actually adopted it. And so that also addresses that. That's a minor issue, but it seems like this is a good time to just clean everything up.
Yep.
I think it's a good
Perfect.
policy.
Excellent.
Yeah, need to get it done.
I'm looking for head nods. Okay.
The development community just says, just tell us what the rules are.
Yeah.
Right.
Just tell us what you want us to do, and we'll do it.
Okay. That was just for the public hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.21, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to amend court order number 41078, liaison appointments, to add Commissioner Jones as a liaison to the Hill Country Regional Public Defender's Office. And this is something that we replaced Commissioner Letts with Commissioner Jones.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the liaison amendment as proposed. Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 1.22, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the memorandum of agreement between the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority and Kerr County regarding the Guadalupe River Habitat Conservation Plan, Programmatic Aquatic Resource Relocation Plan. And Charlie? Charlie and Kelly and I met with GBRA last week. We met with them the first time, 2-3 months ago,
That's right.
several months ago. And when we met with them the first time, and I'm just kind of setting the stage for the details on this, Charlie. We met with them the first time. Obviously, they want us to join the plan. They're trying to get all the counties in the Guadalupe River Basin, which I think is a good idea, that all the counties join together to deal with this fat mucket problem. That's the muscle that we're dealing with, is the fat mucket. And originally, when they came to us, they were allocating annual cost to be a part of the group that's going to deal with the federal government on this thing, was $40,000, and $40,000 a year. And we just didn't think that was an acceptable price. And by the time we left there, they had reduced it down to, for Kerr County, and what they're doing is they're trying to put the price per year dependent upon the risk factors. And our risk factors are fairly low. We have 2 dams, we have 2 lakes, one in Ingram, one at Center Point, Flat Rock. And
lines.
Huh?
So there's 3 there.
Okay, and
Yeah, flat rocks.
and the fat mucket, the fat mucket,
A mussel.
those little mussels kind of live at the bottom of where the dam is. And the problem is that if you drain your lake, you drain it and expose that bottom part of the dam, you gotta relocate those fat buckets, and you gotta have a plan. Well, this is federal, it's, you know, these is Endangered Species Act problems here, things that we never even thought of. But we have to protect the habitat for this. And so, when we talked about it here in this court last time, we talked about, well, let's just make a policy that we're not gonna drain any of those lakes. Now, there is always the possibility that there may be natural circumstances where those dams get washed out, and then we would have it. And so, and we advocated our case, and I thought quite well, Charlie and Kelly did a great job with it, that our risk exposure is among the least in the whole Guadalupe River Basin, because we're at the headwaters. The river gets bigger and activities get more complex going downriver. And we didn't think that it was fair to charge us the same thing they were going to charge the camps, and I like all those camps, but realistically, when they drain them every year and get the kids out there with brooms to sweep the bedrock, they're going to have a lot more exposure than we are. So, the good news is, and I'll just throw out the number, Charlie, and let you run with it. We've talked them down to $10,000 a year. We'll be the lowest ones in the group. And quite frankly, for $10,000 a year to be part of the group that, because we know that if we get singled out, if we have a problem, it's probably going to cost us at least anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 to get all the consultants' reports and do all the stuff that the federal government's doing. And they provided us data on that. But it's down to something that I think is livable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Charlie?
Thank you. What's before you today is a memorandum of agreement. It's my understanding from reviewing that, and I'm not an attorney, but there are some outs if the court so decides to rescind whatever if you were to enter into that agreement today, I suppose you could rescind that later if you needed to. I think really what GBRA needs is they're looking for partners to be a party to a permit that GBRA is going to apply for from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And that is called an incidental take permit. Sometimes during the course of whatever activities you're having on the river, say that you drain a lake, you could incidentally take some of those mussels. So the permit, what they'll do is they will outline, if we ever drain that lake, this is how we'll drain it. We'll drain it slowly. That helps. We would have a biologist that is an expert in mussels be involved. We'd probably have some divers involved, and they would provide the expertise to help us comb the area, find mussels that got stranded, that need to be relocated back to the water. It's really just that simple. If we don't join this group, if we ever have to drain one of our lakes for any reason, we will have to go get this permit ourselves from U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So it just makes common sense to ride the coattails and join this coalition, is the word I'm using, this group, this party, be a party with GBRA in their permit that they are seeking with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. If we choose today not to join, we will have a very difficult time joining in the future. They need to know now if we're thinking about joining. So I think we need to think about joining. I think we need to approve this memorandum of agreement. The timeline that they are thinking for obtaining this permit and knowing for sure what the cost will really be, because Fish and Wildlife will say, well, if you're going to do this, this is how many biologists you need for the whole basin, the whole Guadalupe Basin, and they're at your becking call for any time someone needs it. So Kerr County notifies GBRA, hey, we're thinking about in 6 months doing something with this dam. Then that's when they would send their biologists out and their group, their team. But again, they have estimated kind of a worst case and a best case scenario of what it would, our cost would be in a best case scenario, somewhere in the $10,000 range. And we felt like that would be a reasonable cost. It's kind of an insurance policy, if you will, if you were to join. and they think that they'll have this permit as early as 2027 and as late as 2029. And once they get real close to having the permit, then they'll be able to nail down what the cost will be and come back and ask you to officially join the group, and that's when, at that point, you would start paying annually that fee. They're looking for a 30 to a 50-year permit from U.S. Fish and Wildlife. I don't know what kind of an appetite U.S. Fish and Wildlife has for something like this, but that's reasonable. They're going to ask for a 50-year. We don't know. U.S. Fish and Wildlife may come back and say, oh, 20, 30, 35, but whatever, however, when they get the permit and they know the years, that would be the commitment at that point that the county is committing to. And there would be escalators in there for cost of living, I'm sure. But that's that would be your annual cost.
We know for sure we have those here. Like
Oh, yeah, we
fat
got 'em.
bucket.
Yes.
Oh, the muckets?
Yeah.
Oh, fat muckets? Yeah, we got them.
Yes, there's three. Forgive me for not remembering the names of all three of the mussels. I think one of them is an orb, golden orb, the
Yes.
fat mucket, and the pimpleback. Two of those three are in Kerr County and in the Guadalupe River.
We've got the fat mucket, the orb, and the false
False spike?
spike mussel.
Oh, it's not a
But
pimpleback,
they
it's the
can't
false
tell
spike.
you
That's what it
how
is.
many there were 100 years ago, and we may be at an all-time high with those little rascals right now, but
Well, but an insurance policy, if you have to
know.
fight the federal government, is worth it.
I know.
But as.
But
let me reply.
like it or not, those mussels got included on the endangered species list last year in July.
Yep.
So, it's
Thank
the
you,
world we live
big
in.
brother.
And let me tell you what I did as a lawyer. This term 12 in the memorandum of understanding is the term. And we talked about this at length. And what this says is that the MOA shall terminate upon the earlier of, one, the execution of a COI,
The certificate of inclusion.
right,
Yes, COI.
by Kerr County, or two, December 31, 2029. Notwithstanding, this MOA may be terminated by either party without cause upon 90 days notice following prior written notice of termination provided by either party. That's a free walk clause at 90 days. Written notice, that's all you gotta do. And so, it's an insurance policy that we're estimating that our risk exposure is maybe $10,000 worth. If it turns out that it's more than that, we can quit anytime we want to, but then we've gotta handle it on our own. And I don't like being an outlier, being that calf that's not with the herd, because that's who they're gonna pick on first.
Right.
So Charlie, then when do we start paying the 10,000?
After you join by being included in their certificate of inclusion, COI, certificate of inclusion.
Am I hearing that correctly, that we're not likely to get that until 2029?
Could be 2027 to 2029.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's good. Now,
Two or more years.
yeah, next question is, how does this play into our Crossing Street Bridge and Ellers Bridge? You know, I mean.
It doesn't.
These, no impact at all, because
No, sir.
TxDOT was telling us that those were being held up because of the mussel issue.
Well, yes, sir. It's the same issue in that when those bridges get built, TxDOT will have to have a permit to do that work.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So that's a reason why it's taking long, because of environmental concerns. Yes, sir. And so what they'll likely do is come up with a methodology of construction that limits the exposure so that they can get a permit.
Okay.
I hate to think I might have been breaking the law when I was a kid. There ain't no telling what I did to some of them things.
Oh, God. I know.
Good fish bait.
Yeah,
We can still turn you in.
you can, yeah.
Well, we've been talking about it without a motion, so,
I'll make a motion.
and I'll second it.
Okay.
That we approve the memorandum of agreement with the Guadalupe River Authority for the Guadalupe River Habitat Conservation Plan Programmatic Aquatic Resource Relocation Plan, as presented. Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. We just bought an insurance policy.
Right.
Shakedown.
Well, you know, the public should be aware. I get requests all the time. Why aren't we cleaning out the Lions Dam center point? And, you know, this is the sort of thing that's held us up from doing it. And it's
say,
probably gonna continue to hold us up from
Fat
doing
bucket.
it. But anyway, it ain't so easy anymore.
No. Let's move on to the approval agenda. 2.1 are the budget amendments.
Yes, you have before you 7 budget amendments.
Jake, why you can't-
If I could get your attention, if you'll go to the very bottom one, I'd like to go ahead and make that adjustment for what did get approved today. And so we're gonna add $21,841 in construction cost. That'll be GL line item 17,682,410. We're gonna keep the project contingencies at 8151, which is what y'all passed today. We're deleting out the materials testing and utilities for now. And that means, that money is coming from interest revenue. This is money that was not budgeted, that has been collected, and that amount will be $29,992.
I move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the budget amendments as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 2.2, pay the bills.
Yes, invoices for today's consideration, $1,322,837.03.
I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second to approve paying the bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 2.3, late bills.
Yes, today's invoices, $42,145.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the late bills as presented. Any discussion?
With bills, one question I have is ACH. Do we do that? Do we have a mechanism to do that, to avoid any late bills?
We do. The late bills is a terminology we use. That just means they were late put in given to the auditor's office so that we have time to prepare them. And so some of those, if we can get to, we will get to them. So just because we're approving late bills, that does not mean they were late in getting to where they're supposed to go. As far as late bills themselves, ACH, every invoice for the county must come and be approved by the Commissioner's Court in order for the Treasurer's Office to pay them. Do we have a way to use ACH? Yes. We use it very seldomly, just based on, we want a track record of everything that goes through, and checks are the best way to keep up with that.
Okay. Thank you.
We voted?
No, sir, I just had a question.
Those in favor of paying the late bills as presented, raise your hand. Unanimous. 2.4, auditor reports.
Yes, just 2 items. As stated earlier, the migration from Encode 9 to Encode 10, originally scheduled for 5/21 through 5/27, has been deferred to a later date, which is unknown at this time. Several issues or procedures are taking more time than anticipated. All Encode 10 trainings are canceled at this time, and then we will have more information as it becomes available. Second item, budgets. Don't forget, your budgets are due on Thursday, 5/15/25.
Okay. You have the motion to approve the auditor reports as presented?
Motion.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to approve the auditor reports as presented. Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. And 2.5, monthly reports.
Yes, for April 2025, Justice of the Peace, Judge Mitzi French, Precinct 1, Judge Kathy Mitchell, Precinct 3, Constables Kyle Snyder, Precinct 2, Paul Gonzalez, Precinct 3, Brad Ryder, Precinct 4. Environmental Health, OSSF, Director Ashley Batters. District Clerk's Office, District Clerk Dawn Lance. Payroll, County Treasurer Tracy Soldan. I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the monthly reports as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. Unanimous. Court orders. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Get them next time.
Okay. Well, I'm sure they're on my desk. Well, I've reviewed the court orders and they were all acceptable, and y'all have seen them. So, I'll make a motion that we approve the court orders as presented, and we'll supplement with the numbers.
Second.
Those in favor, raise your hand.
Yeah.
Good. We'll move on to item 3.1, information agenda status. I got the numbers?
No, that's different.
We need, yeah, this is a status report from department heads. First one is from Human Resources.
Good morning.
Mrs. Putnam.
So I'm going to start off with new employees and terminated employees, kind of one of our biggest tasks. So we've had 11 since February 1st, new employees, and then 13 who have left Kerr County. Unemployment, we've had 5 since February. That's the most I've gotten in such a short amount of time. 4 were ruled in our favor, 1 was not. I do want to take a moment to say that those favorable decisions are because of department heads' documentation, which is crucial. So that way, you know, the less unemployment claims are approved, the less we pay. So that's great. I was very pleased with that. DCDRS, they came out March 26 and 27, conducted some presentations at the Road and Bridge, the Sheriff's Office, and here at Commissioner's Courtroom. We had 50 attendees. And then we had 28 individual sessions, so that they were booked, and so that was good for them. Very informative. Supervisor training. On April 22nd, Sharon Blankenship with TAC came out, conducted a training for supervisors on unemployment law with discipline and documentation. We had a total of 43 attendees, including my department, and that was very good. Very informative, good tips for department heads and supervisors. Ilda and I attended a risk management, county management and risk conference in Round Rock, and we were presented with the 2024 Excellent Safety Award for Kerr County. Ernesto Galindo will be here June 9th. He will present the award during Commissioner's Court. That's great. Commissioner's Court workshop, TAC is still planning on coming out June 17th to do an educational workshop on the different services that TAC offers to Kerr County. Salary survey, just kind of a little update. I should hear something this week from Mr. Whirling. He did get a little delayed on our salary, so that's why we haven't heard much. But we are scheduled to meet later this week, so we can get initial reports. Budget, it's been busy. We've been working on providing departments with cost for any special requests or new requests or going to be putting into the budget, so my office has been busy just providing the information to them. We've also been working on the property, liability, and the health insurance cost. Later this month, I should have an idea on a range of how much our health insurance could possibly go up, or hopefully it won't. That's all I have for the HR side. On indigent health side, since the middle of February, my department's kind of been all hands-on trying to get everything, reconciled. I want to say thank you to the Sheriff's Office. They have been crucial in establishing new procedures, opening up communication so that we can work better, more efficiently when we're receiving bills and that kind of information. So they were great. They met with us, and we will be moving forward on a semi-annual basis to discuss different ways that we can improve just the system overall. Cindy Hernandez is our new indigent health coordinator. She's been with me for almost 2 months now. She's taken on the task of creating new procedures, making sure that things are getting done, that stuff is getting filed, that bills are getting sent up to AP in a timely fashion. So she has done a great job so far. We're also cross-training with HR. So I plan on fully utilizing that position to its full potential where it hadn't been in the past. So I'm excited about that. Being able to use her fully has been great. It's been a great just end result. All outstanding bills from the previous fiscal years have been reviewed and processed, reconciled with the spreadsheet that was provided to us and have been submitted to AP. That's it. If you guys have any questions for me.
Yeah, Celia, what's the, back to your item 7, the workshop, what's the time?
Probably going to be at 9. It's going to be posted. I'll get with Miss Jody on getting that posted.
Okay.
But we should block the morning for that?
Yes. And we probably are going to do it out, we talked about doing it out at the Ag Barn. It's more of a training type thing, but it is for the members of the court.
Anything else for Ms. Zapata? Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Escape while you can.
Next one is a quarterly report from the Information Technology Department.
Good morning, Court. Quarterly report from the IT department. So back in January, we kicked off our required annual cybersecurity training, currently sitting at 86%, with the mandate being due 1 August. I've got a couple of slides up here to kind of show a little bit of progress that we've got from the Know Before training. I know there's a lot of squiggly lines and small numbers up there, but as you can see from the downward trend, our risk score is vastly improved since we started, actually back in August, I believe is when it was. Next slide. This kind of shows a breakout per county department. Those that have completed all the different cyber training, the phishing training events that we've had, and some of the outstanding stuff there on the right, broken out by department. And then last one. And then this actually shows the how people have responded to the different phishing attempts. And I purposely blocked out all the department's stuff this time. Next time I might not be so generous. But as you can see, we still have some vulnerabilities, but overall, we've been making some really good progress with the phishing training. So it's, and compared to some other agencies that I've spoken with, we're actually doing better than most. So I'm pretty excited about those results. So moving on, since January, we've closed out over 850 reported trouble tickets. That doesn't, of course, cover all the direct phone calls and emails asking for support. And while I don't have a good hard numbers to look at on this, it seems like most of the reports or issues are resolving around Encode or Odyssey. And hopefully with our migration to Odyssey in the cloud, some of that stuff will go away. And I'll touch on that here again in a second. Equipment-wise, we've replaced over 70 monitors and 20 desktops. We've been busy. Most of that stuff has been out of necessity. They just either stopped working or broke or whatever. One of the big projects we've actually taken through our department is actually a network-wide architectural improvement that helps with our efficiencies and redundancy, load balancing our data transfers between locations, spread out. We've also upgraded document management system for the courthouse. For historical records, that program actually, the license on that one had expired 2 or 3 years ago. We managed to catch that up and get that back online. It was an oversight from before. We actually had training on that back in February for the users. I believe that's actually run its course, and that's running pretty smoothly now. We've also facilitated an infrastructure upgrade for the Department of Motor Vehicles in the courthouse. That entailed running a new fiber line into the courthouse and replacing the router for the DMV equipment. In March, we started with our EDR, the Endpoint Detection and Response Program. I would say about half of that's still in the learning phase of what the different programs are that the users work with on a daily basis. Some of the lower traffic areas are actually live and it's working. We had a case actually last week where we were trying to run an update on one of the programs and it wouldn't allow us to do it unless we actually paid specific attention to the EDR program to say, yes, no, this is valid. So pretty excited to bring that fully online here in the hopefully near future, which will actually also allow us to close out a little bit more of an antiquated program that costs us like $9,000 that just in annual licensing. Back in March, we hosted the cybersecurity tabletop exercise at the Youth Events Center. We had over 50 community leaders from throughout the county, not just the county, but the city, K-Pub, and Shriner all had representation there as well, so that was actually a really good turnout. And that was actually facilitated by some of our local partnerships with the local experts in cybersecurity that we leveraged in our partnerships with. Right now, as we speak, probably one of the biggest movements the county's had software-wise in a while has been the Enterprise Justice Software as a Service, the Odyssey platform that was on-premise 2014. We went live on that on Thursday, and it was a pretty good movement. Anytime we deal with a project of this magnitude, you don't know what you don't know, and thankfully, the unknowns were relatively minor. We've been able to have some workarounds to fix and operate. So we haven't had really any major struggles with that, whether it was within the courthouse here or at the sheriff's department. We're waiting for I'll say fourth-party vendors to actually get in contact with our third-party vendor to fix out some of the comms issues that we're having. Now, some of that has to do with the current version of the 2014 Odyssey platform that is in that cloud. A few of the functionality pieces are missing in there. Again, it was some of those unknowns, but workarounds are in place. And when we do migrate to 2023 Navigator, which should hopefully be in the next coming weeks, this was a phased approach. Hopefully these unknowns will be identified and fixed before we make that migration. So overall, actually, it's been a pretty smooth, heavy lift, just because of everything that was involved, all the different departments, whether it was live court proceedings or jail movements. It's been a lot of moving parts and pieces in there. So overall, very happy with that movement. It's still going on. We're still working through some of it, but we're pressing on. Some of the upcoming, ongoing projects that we've got here in the coming quarter is our Active Directory installation. That one had been put on hold until our Odyssey cloud migration had moved, as well as the Encode platform. We're researching some technical possibilities to actually move ahead with the Active Directory migration, even while we are working through the Encode piece, because that was kind of another sticking point that we're looking at. So working with the treasurer's office and the auditor's office to see exactly what we can do. While that project has been on hold, we built a sandbox back there for us to test, what is it going to take to migrate every user in the county, all 350-ish users, with all their profiles, make sure that all their permissions and stuff are correct. We are probably at the 95% resolution on that to get that cleaned up, so that way that will also be hopefully another smooth migration. Another ongoing effort is the consolidation of the county printers and copiers under one umbrella, one contract. I've been working with a couple different vendors now. I'm kind of waiting to see exactly what those numbers are going to look like when they do come back. Hoping to have that here in the next coming weeks. By the looks of the initial data coming in, I'll probably have to readdress that with the court for fiscal year 27. I don't think I'm going to have, based on the current contract structures that I've seen and just the budget numbers, I don't feel I'll be prepared to try to grab that for fiscal year '26, and most likely fiscal year '27. One of the more popular questions is Office 365. Been waiting on the Active Directory piece for that to go live before I went with 365. So we're looking actually end of June, early July for that to happen, and we're actually going to have the assistance of TAC with that, with their experts to aid in the migration. So that with their expertise, they've actually had some really smooth migrations, and we're anticipating some of the very same. And then Windows 10 will actually reach end of life in October, not end of support. So the machines that are actually out there deployed that are still running Windows 10, they will work just fine. However, with my migration efforts in place, hopefully we can get to the older units and get them phased out before we have any problems with that. So other concepts and ideas that we've got on my whiteboard there in the back office is retiring or shutting down the old servers that are running, Odyssey specifically, 'cause that was a CGIS write-up from before. So our migration to the cloud with that should take care of that problem with the DPS and the Sheriff's Department. Along with that will come an effective or a full examination of how and where we are storing all of our data. We got backups of backups that are backing up backups, and it's just, we need to get that cleaned up. We are putting vital records into a Fort Knox cloud environment. So should we ever get hit with something, we should have the ability to recover that data fairly quickly. If there are vital records that we haven't identified yet, please get them to me so that way we can address that accordingly. Other projects that we're involved with, obviously, is with the adult probation move. We'll be actually physically running new cables, putting in new switches over there. We've had some input with the animal control facility. As Charlie had mentioned, do it now before, otherwise this. So we've had some input there. This week, on the 15th, actually, we will be supporting the 4th Court of Appeals. They'll be here in town having their court, so we'll be aiding them in their broadcast to YouTube for their audiences. May 27th, I will be onboarding an intern for my department. I had 3 candidates from Schreiner interview. It was very competitive. I was very pleased with the product that the university is turning out. My intent for this intern is to help with our modernization plan, replacing the older computers, getting them off the network, building an asset management plan that'll actually aid in my modernization efforts, continued modernization efforts. So this intern will be busy. So I'm excited to bring her online. And then a topic that's been kind of floating out there, and I haven't really put a lot of movement to yet, but is hosting a Kerr County only internal cybersecurity tabletop exercise. What do the different department heads do when an event hits? What does PA do? What does the county attorneys do? The treasurer's office? What are their specific roles? I've got a rough plan in place, but we need to work it. We need to exercise it. So it's initial thoughts only. I've got it on my whiteboard as a to-do down the road. Whenever we get some brain bites, we'll try and put that together. But other than that, attended a few AI conferences, trying to figure out how that can be helpful within the Kerr County. I'm open to suggestions and ears, and I've got some viewpoints on that. But much like the city, we're both in our infancies with artificial intelligence. So with that, I'm open for questions and comments.
You're doing a great job. If part of your goal is to keep me from clicking on anything, I'm scared to touch anything on that computer,
Good.
man.
That's
Job
we've
well
accomplished our
done.
goal.
Yeah, job well done.
Thank you.
I thought you were that long blue line.
I know. I mean, I look at an email, I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
Yep, and the testing is getting much more sophisticated, which is what the intent was.
Well, I'm not, though. That's the problem.
Good report, Corey.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, moving on, 3.2, status reports from elected officials. Okay. 3.3, staff reports and liaison commissioners.
Just have one, put all aside the animal control, if you want to go see the poor, it is a major event, major milestone on the week of 19 May, if you want to come on out. We'll be there to facilitate that. There is some good news, that company that's doing the construction is doing it very well. They've avoided some significant rain issues with keeping on time, with satisfying our requirement for fire water with the city and permitting, and I'm happy to see that, so we're not in trouble with the fire marshal, which is great. So well done on them, thank you.
Yes, I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but there is an active search for a new extension agent, agricultural extension agent for us. Mike retired this last month or first of the month, and so that search is going on. And Michael Haynes, the district coordinator, feels like he has some good candidates. So we'll see how that goes. Good time of year for people, if they have children, you know, this is a good time to make a move if they want to relocate.
I don't really have much other than I'm meeting with most of my liaison folks regularly, and I enjoy it.
Do they enjoy it though?
They may
Probably
not.
not.
Yeah, they may not, but I tell you, I appreciate the ones that y'all put me on, because it's been fun. I enjoy meeting with them, and I meet with, especially Charlie and them, I meet with them regularly on stuff, but one of the busiest things to meet with probably. But Headwaters, UGRA, you know, all of them, I just enjoy them all. So, good folks to work with.
Okay, I've got a few updates. We had a aggregate production operators advisory council meeting last Tuesday. Wheatcraft was scheduled to present an update on how the progress they've made adopting the recommended best management practices. Unfortunately, they didn't show up, but we did have a very interesting presentation from Mark Friesenhahn, representing TRAM, about the 2022 Texas Water Development Board State Water Plan with respect to aggregate mining use. And it shows some very alarming trends, not to do with aggregate production, but just about water demand and consumption and lack of availability. So it's interesting that they have that plan, and I'm not sure that they have any solutions to get us where we need to be. But it's not a reflection on the aggregate mining industry. Again, that's a very, very small piece of the pie. On the indoor arena, the roof replacement project, the roof is complete. We did have a minor change order, $1,500, to address a gutter overflow situation, which no doubt was part of the problem that created the corrosion on some of those structural beams right on the edge of the building where the other, where Jake's office is in that little intersection between the Happy State building is. Anyway, easy solution. They just had to drill some holes along the top of the gutter. These are very oversized gutters, but that roof is so large that you get so much water pouring into there that the gutters overflow. So now they've got some extra holes right along the top edge that hopefully let the water get out before it backflows and comes into the building. So that was interesting. And we did receive a budgetary estimate for replacing the walls and insulating the walls in the building. We've done the roof. At some point, we need to do something with the walls, and there are two options: to spray foam versus putting in more conventional insulation, but a lot of the panels would need to be replaced. So anyway, that'll be part of the presentation that we put together for the budget for next year, because it's certainly not in this year's budget, and we'll see how that looks. Let's see. Okay, moving on to VFDs, we had a CARFA meeting. That's the Kerr Area Rural Fire Association, which is all of the fire chiefs. That was May 7th at Tierra Linda VFD station, and the main discussion was the new radios. And let's just say that it's been problematic, and working through a lot of the issues. And
getting people a little more familiar with how this new system operates, but we've got a ways to go before everybody's happy. The other thing that was a significant issue that got a lot of attention was the information that's available for firefighters, in particular volunteer firefighters, but I think Kerrville might be a little bit different. But basically, a lot of information goes out over the airwaves, and it's available for the sheriffs, the deputies rather, and responding folks there, but it's not available. It has to be encrypted apparently because of the laws, and so it's not available to first responders, and it's some things as straightforward as you would think. Needing to know whether there are seriously injured people in a traffic accident or not, or potential, because frankly, the deputies are frequently the first on scene. And they're conveying that information back to dispatch, but the dispatch isn't making it available to the fire department, so the fire departments don't necessarily dispatch the right equipment and the right people. And time is everything when it comes to saving lives. So we're going to try to sort through how some of that information, firefighters don't need to know date of birth and names of individuals. They don't need to know whether there's a previous arrest record or history. Well, that's some of the sensitive information that has to be encrypted and can't be shared, but we have to find a better way to get more of the appropriate information that first responders need to have the right people showing up. And otherwise, I think on OSSF, they're going to have some follow-up meetings, hopefully with all the members of the court, just to talk about what they would like to do, which is to revise the court order to require OSSF permits for all systems, including on new properties with over 10 acres. That's the only cap right now. So it's it would be a very minor change to the order. But anyway, I think they're going to visit with everybody individually before it comes back to court. And otherwise, we had a good investment committee meeting last week, and considering a new type of CD, which, I believe our treasurer will go ahead and give it a try. It's got a lot of upside potential, not much downside, so it was very interesting. And I guess that's it.
Okay, let me go back and pick up those court order numbers that we omitted when we approved the orders. And it's the April 28, 2025 orders number 41235 through 41256. And those were the orders that we approved. Being nothing else on the regular agenda, do we have executive session?
We do, have 2 items on executive session.
Okay. Then we'll take a 5-minute recess and reconvene in executive session. We're back in open session. It is 1:20, and we now stand adjourned.